Okay, we're in Solidworks Visualize. It's a standalone program. It doesn't operate inside Solidworks. So I'm going to go through the interface as much as I can in this session. But just for those who want to, I would advise, especially watching this tutorial here, which is easy mode overview, you just click on the play button. It'll take you to the website. You've got to log in. But there are a couple here. They're pretty good. This one in particular, I'd advise you looking at it. All right, so let's go back to the menu button at the top. It's got the usual standard file edit view, and then these two are particular to, these three at least are particular to this app. So what we want to do is we want to load a project. So that's a project which I've saved already. Go to File, go to Open, and then here at the bottom you can select any of the file types that SolidWorks can already import. So all the way from SolidWorks to STPs, STLs, there's Rhinos in here somewhere, Inventor. Okay, so we're going to stick with SolidWorks documents, select the assembly. It's going to bring this in. These will all be ticked. You don't need them. You don't need scene unless you've loaded scenes and cameras and animations. We don't really even need appearances, but I'm going to keep mine because I've loaded some, and then decals, well, I've got none loaded, but that's just where it is. So I'm going to say OK. So this so far, not so difficult. So the way to navigate is to middle mouse click, drag to rotate. Middle mouse click control button to pan, middle mouse click shift button to zoom in and out very quickly, or you can scroll, but obviously the scroll you've got to watch because it tends to scroll relative to where the cursor is, and you can go out of frame very quickly. So in this program especially, it might be better just to use the shift. Oops, I've actually gone out. There it is. All right, I'm using my space mouse, that's why I'm moving it so easily, but yeah, that seems to have changed the way it appears. Okay, I think there's some setting I have in here which is some kind of camera setting which is making it go out of frame. All right, so let's just have a look at the top. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 buttons, I think, are the ones you're going to use the most. The first one is render selection. So at the moment it's in preview. If you go to accurate, it's going to take a little while to render. It's going to think. And what you'll get is that's exactly the rendering you'll get. So whatever you see here is exactly what you'll get in the rendering. And you'll notice as soon as I move this around, it kind of blurs a bit and has to think a bit more. Okay, so we want to stay in preview for now, just that sort of flattens everything a little bit. That's the denoiser. We can't toggle it on and off just yet. That's the turntable. That's to get this thing to revolve. If you want to do an animation, this is the selection tool. It should default to this model one. You'll find the analog of this, or the corresponding bit of this, in the left-hand side here under models. So as soon as I select this one, say part, I can select a part. You'll see that this lights up with all of the options. So say for instance you had chosen the way this thing works, it's got different levels, so that's the entire model. Let's say it weren't snapped to the floor, it came in like this by mistake. What you could do is select that, and then just under transform, which is next to general, go to snap to floor. It'll get the lowest part of the model to snap to the floor. Right, then the way you get things to disappear or appear is you just right click in one of the drop downs and you say view and you say hide show, and show only will isolate it. And if you do that again, view, hide show, and you say show everything, control shift U, it'll unisolate. Everything will be available. All right, so that's how you get these things to work. And then if you want to move things around, so we've dealt with that one, and this one here. This has just got the options here of the entire model, a part of the model, a group, which we don't have any groups at the moment, and then appearance. Now the appearance one, just quick note here, if I click on it, it'll allow me to select, I'm not sure how it works. I think you can select everything that's in that range. But what it will do is if you go to this next one, Object Manipulation Tools, and say you want to move something around, and you click on this transform, and you click on this item here, transform, it won't move anything. That's just because it's in the wrong mode. So that there needs to be in one of these others. So if I go to that one there, and I click on this, now I can move it around. Or rotate it, or scale it. I haven't played with these, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, you can do stuff like that. Horrible, but you can do it. Okay, so that covers those first four. We're going to deal with cameras later. This is cameras, and then this is view. So this is just standard if you want the top view, left view, right view, whatever. And then the last one, I'm going to leave till last, render wizard, because we're going to render. Okay, so let's go to the right hand side now and have a look at the other buttons over here, because these have to do with lighting and appearances. So the first one we've covered. You can do things like move things around, you can pivot things, you can rotate them, that's all available there. Here you can make things visible, invisible. I'm not sure what fade it does. All right, I haven't played with these, but you can, and texture mapping I haven't played with yet, but we'll get to some of that in the next bit. So then next is appearances, so you see that corresponds with that one there. These are the appearances I've got at the moment. I can go into one of them and just click on it, and then you'll get these tabs, general, texture, and texture mapping. The general one, the first thing it'll do is normally this gets defaulted to appearance. So let me show you. If I add a new material, add new appearance, you'll see it just says appearance here. So I'm going to rename this to Chrome. And then the next button allows me to choose what kind of material I want, so metal. And then here, albedo just means color, so I can change this if I want. So you'll see that changes over there. All right, I don't want that, but just to show you how it does it. And then roughness, the further you go to the right, the rougher it becomes. Watch that, gets very rough. The further to the left, the more reflective, something like that. Watch this little update. Anisotropy, don't worry about it. Or rotation, that has to do with distributing of bitmaps really. And then normal, you can add a bump map to this. So normal just means, as you normally would understand it, it's looking at something from the top, and let's say we chose this brush normal. You'll see that this changes. You won't see it for now, but let's apply it and you'll see what happens. So the way you apply a material, you just drag it across to that. There we go. You can see the texture has been applied to it. If I go to the next button on the right hand side, there's my normal bump map. And if I change the depth to something much smaller, you'll see on the fly that it's roughening this up. Okay, so if I zoom in, that's what you're getting. All right, so that's not really what I want, but I'm just showing you how this works. You can change the tiling, so you can make that 2 and 2. That just multiplies them. You can change the U and the V direction, so we can go to 90, or where's 90? 45. That's just changing the direction in which this is going. So if I do this real time, you can see it changing real time. There we go. Okay, so right, so I'm going to leave that off. I don't really want to have this in here, so I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to delete it. Okay, I want Chrome. I'm going to show you another way, a much quicker way. Well, not quicker, but possibly easier to get a material in here. So let's say, for instance, we wanted a stainless steel brushed. Go to this last button, File Libraries. You'll see that there are 2 buttons here, Local and Cloud. Under Local, the next button, you can choose whether you want to see the cameras, the images, materials, whatever, appearances. Okay, so there are all the materials that I've got loaded already, the environments I have loaded, etc. Now, if you go to Cloud, you get the same options, environments, cameras, appearances. And under Appearances, this should have, there we go, should have defaulted to this set of files. So here you can go to all the materials that have been loaded by anyone Let's just go to these ones under different categories. So these ones here I've downloaded already. The way you download something is you click on this little button here and it'll download it for you. It's going to take a little while. So, oh, it's done it. Once it says there's a little tick mark, it's in your library. So you can go back to this one and you can go back to metals and steel, and there they all are. So either from here or from here, I can just drop this in. So brush stainless steel, I'm going to drop this onto that hand and that one there, and I've got brush stainless steel in place. Okay, so far so good. Now let's have a look at what else we can do here. That's brushed. I'm going to give this a name. Oh, it says brush steel. Oh, it's updating. Okay. And yeah, let's maybe just quickly add another material here just to see. Let's do this again. So this is basic. Let's say a plastic, and I'm going to say red ABS. And then albedo is the color. So that's what albedo means. Go red. Say yes. Roughness, I'm going to make it quite bright. Normal, if I wanted to find a bump map that would work. The ones that we have available, these are not great. I'm going to leave it as it is, and then watch if I just drag this across and apply it to something, say the little Lego man's face. I've got it. There I can see what it's going to do. I can see on the fly how bright or dull it's going to be, or how reflective or matte it'll be. It's not showing it, but it should. And then you can change the index of refraction. I would leave it because this is the IR for plastic, but if you change it to say 1.33 for instance, you get something slightly different. Okay, we can't see it right now because of the fact that it's in this render mode. Okay, so if I go to accurate, it'll take a little while. You can see that's more accurate, much more accurate. And then my denoiser has actually been activated. So I'm going to go back to preview. I'm going to remove that. So what I can do here is I can click on that item, right click, go to properties, appearance, and let's change this to yellow. Let's just see if it'll do it on the fly or not. I think you can choose, but I might be wrong. Seems not. Okay, well, you can change the appearance of it on the fly. So let's go back to like a yellowy, something like that. And I think you have to say, okay, I might be wrong. Nope, you don't. Oh, it's just added a new yellow in there. So you don't need to go to the right-hand side to add appearances. You can just click on an item and then right-click and say Properties, Appearance, and add one if you want. All right, let's go to the next bit, which is the scenes. So the scenes at the moment, it's got loaded. Let's just see. So there are two things going on here, and you need to watch these. First is environments, and then underneath that is backplates. So backplates is like a bitmap backplate. So if I click in this and I right click and I say delete, it'll get rid of it. I'm going to say Control Z for now, just to add it in. And if I want to add one, I can right click and I can say new backplate. And then I can navigate to wherever I've got my bitmap, whatever bitmap I want. So let's just choose this. Let's choose this one for now. So it'll drop in a scene for you. Then you can just rotate this and get it to drop in wherever you want it to be. Or if you don't like that, you can just edit, I think. Delete. You might have to go back to new backplate. And then let's try this one here instead. All right, so you're going to choose a bitmap that suits you. If you don't want this to appear, I'm not quite sure how to switch it off. Because what you could do as well is instead of having the studio, you could add a new HDR environment and you could go choosing either one of the standard ones, or a much better way is to go once again to the file libraries, click on appearances, go to environments, and then load one of the ones that you want. So I think in class I showed you this German one. German dirt road. Just drag that in. All right, so now we're picking up reflections from that HDR environment, which means it's actually adding a lot of interesting detail to this item. And if I go back to my scenes, I can either, I'm not sure actually how to delete that. And delete, I think you have to delete, oh yes, that's right. You have to delete all of the backdrops in order to get the environment to be your backdrop. Now, I mean, the environments don't really give you great backdrops, so I would like to see you actually put a backdrop in here. New backplate is what they call it. So I'm going to drop that one back in. Okay, and we're almost ready to render. So the only thing about camera that you need to understand is that you can do things like you can set the perspective. So from this is lens length, I think. So from 50 to say 35 would be quite a strong perspective. And then you can also set the blur. So you can go to, I think it's under filters, transform, stereo, advanced, motion blur, render region. Oh, all right, so here's one that's interesting. You can enable a region. So let's say we just want to render this for now. We've made some change, made some change to the model, and you just want to render a little bit of it, you can do that. So if I go to this render button, it's only going to render that little piece instead of the whole item. I'm going to switch it off, and let me just find the focal length. Depth of field, here we go. Depth of field. So if I want to make this sort of blurry, what I can do is there's this pick button on the right hand side, and I can pick some part of my item and I can change the aperture. So the higher the aperture, the greater the depth of field. The lower the aperture, the less it is, I think. It just means focal distance. I'm actually forgetting, but you can play with this. F-stops. Pretty sure it's aperture. Yes, because this is focal distance. Trying to get this. I think this is such a small item, it's having difficulty making the back blur. But you can play with it. And let's just pick this again. Yeah, I think that seems to be doing it. All right, so this is ready to render. And then the last thing you do is you go to this render wizard. Wait a minute, before we do that, let's just have a look under Tools, Options. The thing you need to know about 3D Viewport, other than choosing which of the render engines you want. So I've got 3 available. I'm going to leave it on that one, but I could use NVIDIA's iRay. Would mean I'd have to restart, or AMD Radeon. But under this, I've got these 2 available. CUDA enabled GPUs. I can switch them off if I want. I wouldn't if I were you. I would leave them on. They speed things up. And then I'm not sure how this works, but that's all you need to know for now. The other thing about this is, yes, the maximum resolution here, you can change this. So let's make this much smaller, and you'll see what happens. So that's made that a whole lot smaller. That's the size it's going to give me. So if I go to Tools, Options, 3D Viewport, scroll down, maximum resolution, I'm going to go back to that one. And then you can choose how many render passes you want. This normally defaults to about 500. The longer you have it, the more detail you're going to get. But obviously, I mean, the more you have, the more detail, but the longer it's going to take. And then accuracy can also increase. Okay, so there we go. We've gone back to a pretty large scale model. It might be too big, but I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to say, let's render with this accurate. Going to take a while. That's rendering, so it's ready to render. Actually, it is rendering as far as I can see. You can see at the bottom here, it's done 256 of 894 passes. It seems to have captured the background. I'm not sure why. let's just see what happens with the, oh, okay, no, actually it hasn't rendered yet. I've got to go to the render image. I'm going to use it full HD because I want it to be full HD and not something smaller. And then the media you want is either PNG or JPEG. And the size, we're going to keep it to the same size, so you can actually change the size here. And then the resolution, we want to bump that up to about 200. Quality, so you got to watch here under render layers that you choose beauty. If you don't choose beauty, you're not going to get your rendering done. And then enable denoiser, so I can disable it if I wanted. I'm going to move this down to say 140, and you can choose what your cutoff point, either quality or time, and then you can say next, and you can say render. It's going to take a little while. You can see there it's doing it. Okay, and there we go. That's your rendered item. And I'm not sure. I think you have to right-click in this to find it, but I think you also need to set where it goes, which, so no, cancel. Do you want to remove all files on this? I want to say no. I want to say cancel. So I think under tools options you might have to set the path, and so export user interface should be in user interface, and I'll have to find this for you and tell you what to do with it, but you would hopefully have set the path correctly if I tell you how to do that. And then this can be found. I think you can right click in here. Nope, you can't. There we go. It's this button here. Reveal in Explorer, so we can see. There we go. So it's actually put it in the path that I wanted, and I cannot remember how to tell you how to change it, but I'll do that in a separate video. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Cheers.